Ladies and gentlemen, human weapons alike, this is Tricky. And this episode of the Tomahawk podcast is brought to you by Professional Championship Wrestling Cage Match in Berwick. Saturday, 27th of June, Berwick Secondary College, www.ozwrestling.com, 1300 Wrestling.
Tomahawk! You're a superstar!
This is Tricky, and welcome to episode 1 of the Tomahawk podcast. You know, they say true happiness is what you already have. But now, let's be honest. You've got it all. You've got the center of attention. You've got the human weapon. You've got the Tomahawk Bandit himself, Tricky. I never say Tomahawk Bandit, do I?
Never heard it before.
Never heard it. And as a matter of fact, the Tomahawk Bandit was actually related to an article I saw where this guy, he was running around with a tomahawk breaking into McDonald's. and he was holding them up. So no, I'm definitely not the Tomahawk Bandit.
Nope.
But this is Tricky, the center of attention. And welcome to the show. Now, this is a very exciting episode because this is our very first podcast. And when I was looking at all the guests you could have on for a podcast, I looked to the future. I'm not going to lie, that's what I've always done throughout my entire career. I've always looked to the future. Who's going to be the next big star? And in my opinion, they don't get any bigger than this kid. He's not going to be a kid for much longer, I'm going to tell you that as well. This is the two-time PCW Slam Champion and current PCW Slam Champion, the MOZZIE, by way of the North Island of New Zealand and Southeast Victoria, thank you very much. The MOZZIE Cass Stone. How you going, Cass?
I am doing great today, thank you, Tricky. Thanks for having me on your podcast. It's definitely an honour to be on here.
Oh man, the honour's all mine. It really is. It's a lot of fun, and I'm gonna be interested to see how this all goes. And I'm sure the listeners out there, they're gonna be interested to see how this all goes as well. But you're the first guest, and now you've come in as a very big student of professional wrestling, and you're still quite young. Now, the one thing that always comes to my mind when I first meet a student or I first meet someone who comes to wrestling, I ask them, who's your favourite wrestler? Who's your favourite wrestler of all time?
That is a very hard question, but one of my favourites would definitely have to be Edge. I just always loved him. He was a great wrestler. His character was amazing. I just always loved Edge. He was one of my favourites.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's a champion. He retired at WrestleMania. You really can't get...
And he's done pretty much everything. Rumbles, Money in the Bank.
That's very cool.
Been in it all.
No,
He's definitely up there with the favourites.
Now, it's funny because when you look at all these types of questions, obviously Edge is arguably your favourite wrestler of all time. But what got you actually interested in watching professional wrestling? Was it something? Was it a family member, or how'd that work?
Yeah, it was. So it was just always my brother and sister. They were always watching wrestling, and then I was just there in the background watching it as well. I don't know if I was playing with action figures while they were watching it, but just always watching it with them. My brother was always Matt or Jeff, and then I was the other brother, and then my sister was Lita. So we were always the Hardys and Lita. Unfortunately, we never got to play Edge and Christian, but we were always...
You didn't play Edge and Christian.
Yeah, no one ever wanted to be Christian, so I couldn't be Edge. So
now I was talking to your father at a 21st of one of the wrestlers pretty recently, and he was telling me that you actually, before you got involved with PCW, you used to set up like pickets in your backyard, make yourself sort of like a wrestling ring, and not exactly have rope, but you'd have physical rope.
Yeah, it was. They were quite. I built some interesting wrestling rings. There was quite a few over the time. There was, it was a very wide selection of wrestling rings. I had trampoline ones. I had on the grass ones. I even once tried to build one off the ground, but it just never happened.
Off the ground, like tried to build yourself a low rider, or
like to have it so there was an apron and like somewhere you could actually step up on and actually put people through and
well,
stuff.
I'm glad you didn't start playing with pyrotechnics. Yeah, that would have been very.
We won't go there.
You did.
may have looked up how to make smoke bombs, but
Have you ever wanted to become a professional wrestler? Take me, for example. I had to start somewhere, so did WWE's Murphy. Emma, take Triple A's Australian Suicide. How about national champion Mark Cage, Daniel Swagger? The best of the best have come from the PCW Academy. You can be one of the elite. Go to www.pcwentertainment.com for information on training. So was PCW the first show you'd ever been to, or?
I'd been to a few others around, but yeah, just none of them really were.
Because this is actually quite funny with you, Cass, because when I think it was, I'm going to say 2012, you'd probably know better than me. It was about end of 2012?
It's 15 now, around end of 2012.
2012. So I started getting messages from a kid on Facebook named Cass. And he was saying to me, he was asking, hey, look, how do I get involved in wrestling? So I'd pass him on the details for the PCW school, but it didn't end there. He'd say, listen, I really want to know, what it needs to take. Now, anyone who asks me questions online, I'm pretty happy, answering them. But a lot of the time, I'd forward you to the training team at PCW, which I do have a lot to do with as well. So I was happy to talk to Cass. However, it got to the point of these questions were so ridiculous that I actually thought I was being trolled. Like, and I started to think to myself, is this kid for real? So I said to him, listen, how about you come down to a show and we can have a chat there. Now, Cass, this next question is one that blew me away. Cass said to me, he said, okay, cool. So if I come to the show, what do I bring?
What do I bring to a show?
Yeah, you asked me that.
Maybe my mindset then, I thought you were going to put me on the show then. I don't know.
You did have all this experience in your backyard.
Yeah, I was expecting, you'd let a backyard kid in and...
Well, and it wasn't even, we're not talking, like, people hear backyard and they get it confused with, like, doing stupid stuff off ladders and all that. I think it was literally just you rolling on the grass.
It was either Teddy's or it was my cousins and my nephews and... Yeah, it was...
And I bet you any money you were repping that Melbourne Storm shirt.
Yes, it definitely was. I always had something to do with the Storm.
What was your personality? What was your gimmick back then?
I don't even think I had one. It was just come out, cheer for me or boo me, and I.
Now look, you've had, well, I guess you'd be about 18 months into your career now, so it's quite impressive to say, within 18 months of actually since your first match until now, picking up 2 Slam championships.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think everyone notices about you as well is your name, the Mozzie, because people actually thought you were a physical mosquito.
Yep.
Your gimmick is the mosquito Cass Stone, but that's not exactly the case because there's a bit more of a background story. Now, you might have noticed I introduced you from the North Island, New Zealand and Southeast Victoria, and that's kind of what sort of represents your background a little bit.
Yeah, because Mum's from New Zealand herself, from Gisborne in New Zealand, and then...
Gisborne.
Yeah, Gisborne.
And
then, Dad's down from here in the down under of Australia. I was born here, though, and, but yeah, so a lot of New Zealanders that come from New Zealand down to Australia or are born here, the term used is the Mozzie. You're a Mozzie, because you're half Aussie and then half Māori, or Maori.
Maori. I think a lot of us, because like in school, I was usually around the Maoris because it's the way it looks like when it's written, but it's actually Māori. Now,
Māori. Like even it's literally just described as like Māori, like a Māori piece of bread. That's how I remember hearing it described to me. That's how you pronounce it, is like a Māori piece of bread. And so we're Māoris, we're not Maoris. But yes, we understand what people mean when
and
they
that's
call
what led you to becoming the Mozzie. The powerful Mozzie. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You hate yourself. God. If you're an Australian, you don't like the New Zealand. You're a New Zealander, to you hate yourself technically.
And then it's hard when it comes to All Blacks versus Australia, because Dad's like, are you going for my team? And then Mum's like, are you going for mine? So
So you know what you do? You have all that rage built up and you take it out on your opponents. Isn't that what happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you got 4th of July plans? Well, cancel them. Because so do I, and mine are better than yours. Come down to PCW Slam. Come see the future superstars of tomorrow today at the Hallam Theatre, Hallam Secondary College. For more information, go to www.pcwentertainment.com. Now, you've had a lot of matches, and I mean, I've seen you in several classics now. I mean, the most recent that comes to mind is when you fought Manny Gunner in a street fight. That was
a fun match. It really, it was a good match. It was where I retained the title, so
because you had lost the championship, you'd lost the Slam championship to Manny only a week prior, or
I think it might have been 2 weeks.
2 weeks prior, and that was actually at a Rowville, the Polish club in Rowville. That's obviously one of our larger shows, and that was it was the night before one of our big shows. Yeah, and it was a fight night because it
could have been just before Injustice, and it was a fight night.
That's right, because we had Injustice on the Saturday and we had the fight night on the Friday. Yeah. And you main evented the Friday show with Manny Gunner, and Manny Gunner picked up the win.
And it was via Dr. Troy.
You guys came in
being a special guest referee.
Everyone thought on that particular night that Cass Stone was actually going to enter with the championship, leave with the championship, and have a brand new manager. That would be Dr. Troy Alexander. For anyone who knows who Dr. Troy Alexander is, he's the general manager of PCW Slam. Some say corrupt. At that particular time, we thought he may have been influencing Cass Stone, but as it turned out, he was in the ear of Manny Gunner, and no one saw that swift kick up the backside coming to.
Yeah, he's the striker. He can strike at any time.
Now, obviously, with that match, you obviously lost that championship. You overcame the odds. A fortnight later, and you got the championship back in a street fight. And I think in that particular occasion, people were also very surprised at how quick you could bounce back, which was very good. However, is this your favourite match of all time, or is there another one that comes to mind?
It would definitely be up there. It would be up there with the match I had with you. I enjoyed that one, but
oh, that's right. We had a friendly
a friendly exhibition match.
When was that? It was February, wasn't it? You can check that one out on TrikkiTube.com. I've favoured it. It's via a Cass Stone link.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest quality that video, but we'll definitely try and get a better one up there. But regardless, that was a fun match because we came in. That was a friendly exhibition match. And there was nothing friendly about it, was it?
We beat the living crap out of each other in that match.
You entered as the PCW Slam champion.
Yeah.
I entered as the PCW State champion.
And we just beat the crap out of each other.
And I knew though that when I entered that match that if I'm entering a match with you, Cass Stone, and we're friends, we get along well, but if you get a win over me, that's a very detrimental win, and that's a big loss for me, because if the Slam champion comes up and beats the state champion, I look like an idiot. Let's be honest here. So you think I'm going to enter that ring and let you off easy? Hell no.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was shove the state championship right in your face and tell you, are you ready for a fight, little boy? In which, what did you do?
I held my title back up at you and told you I'm ready to fight.
I'm ready to fight right now. Looking at it. No, that's right. You did. You held the championship and you said, I'm the Slam champion. I am ready for a fight.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We fought.
We went to battle.
And it's a shame we didn't get a finish on that match because Tom Philippe ran out.
That's right.
I was going to hit you with the tomahawk.
You're going to miss, but...
I was going to hit you with the tomahawk. You were going to lay down and be out cold 1, 2, 3. But Tom Philippe came out, pushed me off. See, this is the type of competitive... This is what I'm talking about now. You were not going to move. You were on Dream Street.
I was going to move.
You were on Dream Street, Cass Stone, and you know it. You know. See, there's nothing... This is the type of friends I have. And it can be an exhibition match or whatever, but... I could beat this kid. I'm telling you now, but... That's another
move, and then you're going to get Mozzie bited.
I'm going to get Mozzie bited. Mozzie bitten? Mozzie bitten?
Yeah.
It's a Mozzie bite. Well, okay.
And then I would have won. And, yeah.
But what was your favourite match, though? Because we were talking... That was a fun match, by the way. Go check it out. I hit him really hard. And
I did powerbomb you.
Yeah, I did not see that coming.
Because I've never hit one before.
Yeah, and you decide, I've got nothing left. I'm going to hit him with a powerbomb.
Yeah. But anyway, my favourite match.
Yes, your favourite match, Cass Stone.
It would definitely have to be When I went up against Mark Cage, he was the current state champion at that time as well.
Because when you think about Mark Cage, he really is the elite. I mean, I'm going to be frank with you. I mean, as a guy, he's a bit of a jerk. I'm not going to lie.
Very
about Mark.
much so.
He's a bit of a jerk. You know, people see the guy out there, and he's Mark. If you're listening, you're a jerk.
Yeah,
you know it. But that's part of the reason why Mark has become as good as he has, I believe, is because he's got this, and he says it, he's got this relentless determination to be the best, and he doesn't care who he pisses off or steps on the way to being the best. And when he fought you that night, I think what he saw in Cass Stone was a little bit of himself. I think he saw someone who was as relentless, wanting to beat him, and it intimidated him. I believe you genuinely walked into that match and you intimidated Mark Cage, and whilst it wasn't your night, I don't think anyone expected it to be your night per se, but the fact that you stood up to him and you put on a fight, and obviously that goes down as one of your most memorable, because it does put you on the map. Because I remember that was in November, and only 1 month later something pretty big happened. And what was that?
It was definitely winning the PCW Slam Championship.
That's right. It put you on the map to the point where,
just 1 month out from that too, so
I even know, I was talking to Dr. Troy Alexander and the general manager, and he said, you know what? I don't like the kid Cass Stone, but he deserves at least a #1 contender spot to see if he is worthy of getting towards that Slam Championship. And then you went on in December?
Yep, and it was a tables match between Wake, Tome Philippe, and I.
And Tome Philippe had just picked up the big win for the PCW Slam Championship himself.
Yeah.
His first singles championship. He picked up the win. He's celebrating. I think everyone expected Tome to have quite a long reign, but you kind of blindsided everyone in December.
Yeah, it came as a shock to a lot of people, I think.
What we're going to do now is Berwick match announcements. Yeah, obviously we're going to announce the my matches, the center of attention, the Human Weapon TRIKKI. You're going to hear his match, and you're also going to hear the MOZZIE CASS STONE. Congratulations, you made it to the Berwick card. This is the first time we've actually gone to Berwick. Obviously, the main event is Mark Cage, the Relentless, the national champion, taking on Daniel Swagger. I'm interested to see how this one's going to go down, because
Supremacy's got no...
Well, they're locked out.
They're locked out of their cage.
Yeah,
Cage is in a cage.
And Daniel Swagger, I mean, that's why Swagger wanted this cage match. He said to me, he goes, "TRIKKI, if I get him in a cage, there's no possible way he's going to beat me." The one thing that does concern me, and I'll be honest, is that Cage he's had a few frequent matches in cage matches. He took on Mickey Jackson.
Yourself.
I faced him in a cage match. He got sent to hospital, but I had to have my hand checked. I hit him so damn hard to put him down. And to be honest, that kind of woke him up, because ever since that cage match in December that Mark Cage lost the PCW State Championship, he's rectified every single loss he had, and that is against me. He put me away at Night of Champions, and as far as Cage is concerned, he's on a roll. He does not want to let go of this national championship. That is a very interesting matchup. But on to the ones that matter in our books. Let's start off with you, Cass Stone, the PCW Slam Championship. You're going to be defending it at Berwick, and that's going to be against Andrew, the Superpower Titan.
Yes, and Andrew Titan as well has been on such a run.
Yeah, tell me about it.
A couple of, the last month he's been unstoppable.
He's been a wrecking machine.
He took
I
out...
was in his path.
He's taken out you. He's taken out...
Anthony Dangerfield. Yeah, and that wasn't just any match. That was a 2x4 on a pole match. And that means that what Andrew Titan in that particular match did was grabbed Anthony Dangerfield's 2x4, his signature weapon, and used it against him to pick up the win. And then only 1 week later, he would face the center of attention, the Human Weapon, and he would go on to get his head bashed in with a garbage can, because it was Roeville Roulette, and the stipulation selected was garbage cans. Garbage cans were legal, and man, I gave him a fight, and he is super strong. There's a reason why they call this guy
the Superpower.
The Superpower, and to be honest, I genuinely believe if I had have hit that tomahawk and Chris Trio didn't get involved, the Supremacy this year have been absolutely doing my head in. We were talking just before. Tome Philippe has no history with you, has no history at that point in time with me.
Yeah,
And he got himself involved. And now we've got Chris Trio. Now, the one thing I did say about Chris Trio, because he's the brand new PCW state champion.
Yes, he is too. That's right.
Mark Cage handed, because Mark Cage won the Undisputed Championship. He won both the state and the national. And he went on to say he can't defend both of them. So he's handing the state championship over to Chris Trio. Right?
Yeah. I recall watching this. And
He's handing it over to Chris Trio. And I said, you can't hand it over. Mark Cage, the match that we had, it was amazing. It was incredible. But these items, these championships, you know what it's like, Cass. These championships are not Happy Meal toys to be handed out. There's a lot of championships to be won in Victoria. But only few actually mean something because people have actually worked for them.
Yes.
And we know at professional championship wrestling, there's so few champions because there's so few people that actually work for it.
Very much
Now,
so.
you are a fighting champion. Andrew Titan is coming up for that PCW Slam Championship, and he's looking to take it from you. Do you actually think that this guy, Andrew Titan, can just take it from you?
That's the thing. Like, he's in all his matches that have led up to this date, he has used people. He's had Elias at his side. He's had Dr. Troy at his side.
And not just Dr. Troy, the general manager of
Slam.
Yeah.
He's had Trio that has no affiliation with him.
Chris Trio got involved in the match, and Andrew Titan picked up the win. And it was the biggest win of Andrew Titan's career. But the scary thing is, Cass, every time, and I want you to put this in perspective for a moment, because that's why I sort of banged on a little bit there. Every time Andrew Titan has been wrestling in the past, let's say, I'm going to say 3 months, I'm going to reckon every single match Andrew Titan has had, it has been the biggest win of his career. Anthony Dangerfield, then Tricky at PCW Rowville Roulette, and could it be Cass Stone for the PCW Slam Champion? Could we have a new PCW Slam Champion in Andrew Titan?
Andrew Titan, if you think you are taking this title from me, you've got another thing coming. And come Berwick, I'm going to kick the living crap out of you, and it will be a fight, and Cass Stone will walk out the PCW Slam Champion, and it will be set in stone.
Alright guys, well, Cass Stone is all fired up from talking about Andrew Titan, and Andrew Titan wanting your championship, that maybe we'll change gears now and we'll talk about my match, the Human Weapons match, the one that matters, Cass.
Oh.
The one that matters to me. And I can actually announce that I will be taking on one half of Fully Sick, Alberto Bravo. And this is a really exciting matchup because I really like Alberto Bravo's work. And I genuinely believe that he poses a lot of threats. He poses a lot of threats to me that I find unusual. He's very quick, he's very slick, but on top of that, this dude, have you seen the build on him? He's about my size. This is the thing. He's about my size in height, maybe a fraction taller, but physically, he's an athlete. This guy can go. His cardio is through the roof. He's gonna put me into places I've never been before, and I'm excited by that because when the first time this Spanish kid Alberto came to
Spanish?
Yeah, Spanish. That's right. He comes out with the Spanish flag and got the Spanish colours. Are you telling me he's Italian? Oh, he's Italian. Oh, Alberto, of course. Alberto Bravo isn't a Spanish name. That sounds more Italian. Oh, sorry about that, Albie. The first time you came into my life, do you know what I thought? I thought, God, Samio looks different. Oh, wait a second. Samio? I'm talking about Fully Sick 1.0, not 2.0. That's right. Alberto Bravo, I was looking at photos, and I came across one from Coastal Conflict, 2014 Cass Stone. And on this photo, it had Daniel Swagger, it had Tricky, it had Mickey Jackson, and it didn't have Alberto. It had a guy called Sammy O. That's right. And Sammy O and Mickey Jackson were the original Fully Sick, and they used to fist pump. And then one day, Sammy O was gone. And introduced Alberto Bravo, a.k.a. number 2. And you know why the number 2 is ironic here? Because at Berwick, on Saturday, the 27th of June, at Berwick, that's exactly where you're going to end up, Albie. You're going to end up number 2. Because, look, let's look at it like this. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the Human Weapon, as far as Tricky is concerned, you are just another patient to me with a problem. But it's just like this. You're the next patient, And the treatment is going to be exactly the same. A tomahawk! This, on that note, has been the Tomahawk Podcast. Cass Stone, you have been an excellent guest. We're shaking hands. You can't see this, but we're shaking hands. You've been an excellent guest. You have a huge matchup. Andrew Titan, Cass Stone, PCW.
There's a lot of tension in this room right now.
There's a lot of tension, because I still reckon you would have never hit that Mozzie bite on me.
You
want to go right now?
Let's do it.
You stand up. Yeah, you hit me with the tomahawk. I was only doing it for the... That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for OzWrestling.com for all details. PCW, Tricky, TRIKKI, Tube.com. Cass, what is your YouTube channel?
It is Cass Stone. Check it out. And then Facebook page, the MOZZIE CASS STONE. Give it a like.
Give it a like. Also find it at This Is Tricky, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. This has been the Tomahawk Podcast. We're out.